Hello, I'm meteorologist Ted Keller, and here's the latest on Hurricane Erin. The once Category 5 storm is still very strong as it churns and turns a little bit. It is just off to the east of the eastern Bahama Islands and will remain largely off of those islands. The outer bands will affect and are affecting those areas now, but the forecast models and the forecast of this hurricane in general have been very accurate. It's been turning to the northwest. It will continue to turn more to the north with time. Very good news for land masses because it doesn't appear as if Erin will intersect anything major. Let's take a look at the IR. This is the colder tops. So where you see the whites or even the purples, it indicates the coldest tops, and cold is used as an indicator of height, which is a pretty good example, especially in the tropics. So we've got some pretty good bands on this storm. It's a very, very powerful storm. Again, as it moves, now here's the eastern islands of the Bahamas out here. The storm has already turned and will continue to move in this direction right here. So that is certainly good news. High waves and tropical force winds, I think, might impact parts of the Bahamas. As you can see in the map here, they have a tropical storm watch in that area right there. There's the track of the storm. It's position 5 p.m. Eastern today, Monday, and then you see it's going to be a major hurricane as it continues to move more to the north and eventually back out over the open waters of the Atlantic. So if we take a look at, first of all, where the tropical storm force wind speed probabilities are, so you see the Bahamas are somewhere between about 10 and maybe some of the islands, maybe a 40% chance of tropical storm winds. So a 1 minute average of 39 miles per hour or greater would be the definition of that. There is a tropical storm watch in effect for parts of the mainland U.S. From not quite down to Wilmington, North Carolina, but including the rest of the coast of North Carolina, including Cape Hatteras, and going all the way up to Norfolk, Virginia. So that's Hurricane Erin. So again, in this area, tropical storm watch area, you're going to watch out for high surf, rip tides, all the things that go along with a powerful storm that's churning just offshore. So again, it's not a direct impact, but it is something that vacationers out there do need to be aware of. With rip currents especially. But now it's not over yet. Let's take a look at the tropical forecast for the Atlantic for the next 7 days. And again, a pretty good probability here in the major development region. This indicates a 40 to 60% chance of tropical cyclone formation. Again, it's over the next 7 days. To give you an idea of what we're talking about here, let's take a look at the Europeans' tropical storm probability map. This would be valid in 8 days, basically Tuesday of next week. And it does show about a 30 or 40, maybe greater percent chance of some sort of tropical activity in exactly the same spot where Erin is currently located. Does that mean it's going to do the same thing? Is way too early to tell. It really depends on the high pressure configuration, the ridge up here. And if that, depending on its configuration by that time, if it's solid like that, it'll send the storm, if it develops, more toward the coast of the U.S. But if there's a split where we have one there and one there, it will kind of sneak between the two like, again, Erin is going to do. So we've used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 named storms so far. We've had one named hurricane so far in the Atlantic, and the probabilities are still about a 50-50 chance of it being an above normal season. They adjusted this just a little bit on August 7th, but not by very much. So we're looking at major hurricanes 2 to 5. So we've had one so far. This hurricane forecast, by the way, does not talk about landfall. It just talks about number of storms and their category, but it doesn't attempt to forecast where these things are going to end up. I can tell you that the peak of hurricane season occurs about the 10th of September, as you can see here by the graph. Hurricanes and tropical storms combined is the red line there, and that is per 100 years. So we're looking at that based on 1944 to 2020. Let's take a look at the entire U.S. now. You can see Erin in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Actually, you can't because I need to realize sometimes that my image appears right there. So, but fortunately, we already showed you that. There are just kind of A scattering of thunderstorms in Missouri and parts of Louisiana, and also out over parts of Texas and New Mexico, even Kansas and parts of Colorado. The most intensive weather appears to be right there just off to the west of the Chicagoland area. Take a look at the 500 millibar flow, big ridge of high pressure dominating this area, but a weak enough cap to get these thunderstorms to develop with not that much forcing. So they are widely scattered, however, and not really producing widespread cooling. But I have more news on that in a minute. Meanwhile, there's a little weak trough of pressure right there that's causing a little uptick in both the heavy rain and the severe weather possibilities with these storms, and I'll cover that in just a minute. At 5 p.m. Central Daylight Time, these are the heat index values, including a phenomenal 118 degrees heat index. I think that's either in Bentonville or Rogers, Arkansas. But we see readings anytime it gets above 105, like here around Wichita, or through much of northern Texas here, or again, parts of Arkansas. That's a cause for concern. And not unexpectedly, heat advisories in effect in all this kind of tangerine sort of color here. And then the extreme heat warning is always down here in the lower valley areas of the Mississippi, where dew points can often pool and collect and really add enough to push that heat index above that valley I was talking about. A lot of this is going to change, though. Great news. Let me show you this. This is the Tuesday forecast map, and it shows a draping cool front that will be approaching southern Missouri and Kansas and slicing through southern Illinois and also Indiana, with high pressure centered up around Minneapolis, and that's going to have a profound effect on temperatures. So if we look at Tuesday's forecast, you already see while some of these readings are slightly above normal still, they're not excessively above normal. So it is a much cooler air mass, whereas when you see these red colors, that's way above the normal high tomorrow, including 101 forecast in Memphis and in Little Rock, and still a 96-degree reading where I live here in Springfield. But drastically different by Thursday. Now the green colors indicate below normal readings, including 89 where I live, and we're only talking about 80 in Chicago, so a nice cool down there. And just when the warmth starts to come back to the northern plains on Thursday, look what happens on Saturday. Evidence of another cool front? You bet. So look at this. While it'll be just around normal here in Springfield and in many of these areas, maybe a little bit warmer, this represents another blast of cool air as it comes across the northern plains. As a matter of fact, to drive that point home, the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook issued by the climate folks, this is for Sunday through Thursday. So this coming Sunday through Thursday is indicating a really high chance, 70% chance or more of below normal temperatures, well, right here in that area. But all this shading in blue is a high confidence of below normal temperatures. So after some hot readings there for a couple of weeks, it does appear as if the pattern is shifting to cool us down. On the heavy rain side, a flood watch is in effect for Rockford, Chicago, and all the suburbs through tonight. And if you see where the heavy rain hazards are located, there's that area, but also includes parts of southern Wisconsin and all the areas where that flood watch was in effect, and also a little sliver down there from Norfolk down south into coastal areas of North Carolina. If we just look to Tuesday, we see some heavy rain forming up here in Minnesota and parts of Wisconsin. Same threat here in South Carolina, shifting a little bit south, and a renewed threat for heavier rains from Tucson to El Paso, northward into the core of New Mexico. Take a look at the next 2 days of rainfall forecast. You can clearly see that Erin's laying down a heavy rain track, but all these are coastal thunderstorms here. These aren't outer bands of the storm at all. And the Chicago area, again, if you see the purple, 1 to 2 inches, maybe a little bit more, maybe some 2-3 inch totals in that area somewhere. That's only over the next 48 hours, 2 days. If I expand that to the next 7 days, the rainfall is really kind of taking a break a little bit. We do have pockets of heavier rain in Kansas and through parts of Colorado and the southeast, and also through New York State. But none of these are really exceeding maybe 3 to 4 inches over a 7-day period. So there does appear to be some good news on a flash flooding front. Now, of course, this time of year, any storms that form move slow and are pretty rain efficient, so keep that in mind. Even though the overall totals are lower, anybody in these darker areas here could be prone to flash flooding, certainly. And if we take a look, coming back to the extended forecast The 6 to 10 day forecast, again, that covers Sunday through Thursday. It does look like the East Coast is going to experience a slight chance of being above normal, but the highest probabilities of rainy weather actually exist out here through Nevada and parts of the Utah area. That appears to be about a 70% chance, or maybe 80 confidence, that is, of above normal rainfall in that area. The severe weather outlook for the remainder of today, that would include all the way till 7 a.m. Central Daylight Time tomorrow, includes a level 2 in that area that I was showing you earlier, and also a level 2 through Nebraska and parts of South Dakota. There is a 2% tornado risk with some of these storms. Now, I'll show you the radar in a minute. Many of the storms, one line is just kind of passed through this part of that outlook area, but there are other storms forming back here too, so that remains intact. Even though there is a 2% tornado risk, that's a 2% chance within a 25-mile circle. The Washington effect is a severe thunderstorm watch for the Chicagoland area, Rockford, back over almost to Davenport, so much of northern Illinois, basically. Here's a radar loop. This is recorded about 5:30 in the afternoon here, and you'll see, again, one little band of thunderstorms forming here, which is causing a few severe thunderstorm warnings, and then a separate area out here around Davenport and in southern Wisconsin. And again, some of these storms will fill in, and that may lead to some of those heavy rain potential, flash flooding potential that I showed you in a couple of slides ago. Now, if we just go ahead one more day, and that's really the only day we're talking about, this front that I was talking about that's sliding on down tomorrow could trigger a marginal risk for severe weather all out along and ahead of it. So keep a mind out for that. The Wednesday forecast is pretty nominal. In fact, there's really no severe weather organized that's in the forecast for Wednesday right now. If we take a look at the supercell composite outlook, the last thing we'll look at for today, this is for the period August 25th through the last day of the month. It looks like front range thunderstorms are the main goal here to get these formed, because, again, remember, there were two cool fronts moving down through here, and so that's really going to stabilize the air. So that's why the upslope flow and that area here is targeted for supercell development for that week that will end out the month of August. Thanks for watching this edition of Weather to Watch. It comes out every other day, or as the weather necessitates. Please remember to share this with your friends, subscribe to the channel, or at the very least, like what you just watched. Thanks.